What if Ripple's grand plan for XRP has been hiding in plain sight all along? I just stumbled on a clue that's making me question everything that I thought I knew about XRP's future. For years, Ripple has talked about partnering with banks and revolutionizing cross-border payments. They rarely, if ever, actually hype up XRP's price itself. But recently I fell down a rabbit hole of community discussions, and let me tell you, I'm now convinced that Ripple's been quietly banking on XRP's value from day one, even if they won't say it out loud. Now this is my personal journey into Ripple's possible endgame with XRP. So by the end of this story, you're going to see why I and so many others believe that something big is brewing, even though Ripple is playing it super coy. Alright, so picture this. I'm scrolling through X late at night, doing the usual rounds of crypto gossip, when I see a post by a software engineer named Vincent Van Code. Now he's a pretty smart guy in the XRP community, and he says that something that stops me in my tracks, right? Vincent basically argues that Ripple's long-term play has always been about the XRP ledger, XRPL, and XRP itself, not just stablecoins, not just payment messaging, but actually building global on-chain liquidity with XRP at the center. Now, in other words, Ripple's ultimate mission is to make XRP so liquid and valuable that it becomes the backbone of global finance. Now that idea, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because if it is true, it means that Ripple has been playing a very long game this whole entire time. Then, as I am processing this, another well-known XRP influencer, goes by the name of Digital Asset Investor, jumps in with a reply, and he just says, it's always been about XRP's price, but Ripple can't say it. And boom, right? That line really got me, right? It's kind of like he voiced this unspoken truth that a lot of us have wondered about. Let's just think about this then. Ripple, the company, holds a massive trove of XRP, roughly around 35 billion XRP locked in escrow, and another 5 billion or so ready in their wallets. That's about 40 billion XRP under their control. So of course, they want XRP to succeed, right? If XRP's price goes up by even $1, Ripple's balance sheets could swell by $40 billion. 40 billion. Right? That would instantly give Ripple more ammo to actually grow, to invest, and basically take over their corner of the crypto world. No wonder that some people suspect that everything that Ripple does ultimately feeds into boosting XRP's value. But here is the kicker. Ripple can't openly admit that their endgame is a high XRP price. Why? Well, it's one word. Regulators. Right? The minute that a crypto company starts openly promoting or predicting their own token's price, well, they're basically just painting a big regulatory target on their back. Now, Ripple's already had a very long, exhausting battle with the SEC over XRP being labeled a security. Now, the last thing that they need now is to give regulators even more ammo by acting like XRP is an investment contract, or that they're guaranteeing kind of future gains. So, Ripple may stay, or at least stays kind of mum on the talk, if you will. Now, they focus their public messaging on the technology, the use cases, the "we're helping banks" narrative. Meanwhile, as a digital asset investor implied, the real plan could be quietly making sure that XRP's value skyrockets over time, and doing it in a way that doesn't get them into legal hot water. Now, not everyone in the community is buying into this XRP is the end game theory without some questions. Right after that little kind of epiphany that I had, I did see some pushback from some other voices in the XRP world. There's one user, a prominent guy, with a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of handle, fishy kind of catfish, who's basically kind of thrown out some shade at Ripple's strategy here. Now, he points it to something rather interesting. Ripple recently issued a stablecoin called RLUSD. This is Ripple's USD, essentially, right? And guess what? Out of a total supply nearing 900 million RLUSD, only about 92.5 million of those tokens are actually on the XRP ledger. The overwhelmingly majority of the RLUSD actually lives on the Ethereum network as ERC-20 tokens. So when I dug into that, I was pretty surprised too. I mean, if Ripple has this amazing XRP ledger, then why would over 90% of their own USD stablecoins be sitting on a totally different blockchain? Fishy Catfish did not mince his words about this either. He basically said, look, not even Ripple wants to use XRP or the XRPL. They put most of their stablecoin on the Ethereum chain. And XRPL is an obsolete, irrelevant ghost chain. Ouch. It's a pretty harsh take, right? Calling the very XRP ledger obsolete and a ghost chain. But the dude has a bit of a point in terms of optics here. Because if Ripple itself seems to prefer Ethereum for something as big as nearly $900 million stablecoin project, then it does make you wonder what on earth is going on. Another community member who goes by Crypto School chimed in with a more historical perspective here. Now, he reminded everyone that from day one, for the past 13 years, Ripple's main focus for cross-border payments has always involved using XRP as a bridge asset. That's literally been Ripple's pitch, right? XRP as the bridge currency to move money across borders faster than a traditional banking system. So Crypto School's like, if Ripple's been using XRP in the background for over a decade, are they really changing course now? Or is something else happening here? It's a good question, right? Is Ripple quietly pivoting away from XRP by dabbling with Ethereum? Or are they just playing a multi-chain strategy while still playing, or at least planning something rather big for XRP? So here I am, taking all of this in, all these kind of different angles, right? You got Vincent Van Code saying it's always been about XRP. Digital asset investor basically confirming it, but noting that Ripple has to keep quiet. And then you've got the skeptics like Fishy Catfish pointing out things that seem a little bit contradictory, to the kind of pro-XRP narrative. I had to make sense of all of this. My gut, and frankly my years of following Ripple's news, tells me that Ripple hasn't kind of lost faith in XRP one bit. In fact, I think Ripple is actually orchestrating a rather master plan for XRP's future right under all of our noses. And the signs are everywhere if you know where to look. Let's talk about some of these signs then. Right, Ripple's moves over the past year or so have been screaming XRP adoption, louder than any tweet ever could, even if they're not allowed or not even shouting it from their rooftops, right? Now, for starters, Ripple has been striking partnerships and investments that put XRP into the hands of serious players. Now, you've got Ripple teaming up with a company called Evernorth. For example, right? Now, Evernorth is a new crypto venture, actually backed by Ripple, that aims to build the largest public XRP treasury. And yes, you heard that right. They are basically wanting to be the MicroStrategies of XRP, hoarding billions of XRP as a strategic reserve. Now, Evernorth is set to go public via a big merger and raise over $1 billion just to buy XRP from the open market. Now, why would Ripple back something like that if they weren't keen on driving XRP's value up in the longer term? It's kind of literally like a giant bet on XRP's future price appreciation, done quietly through a very separate entity. And it doesn't stop there. Ripple also dropped a cool $1 billion to acquire a firm called GTreasury. Now, GTreasury might sound rather boring, right? But it's actually a major player in corporate treasury management software. Now, Ripple buying GTreasury is a strategic move to actually integrate XRP and the XRP ledger into a $120 trillion corporate finance world. Think about global companies being able to use XRP for their treasury operations. Now that could open floodgates of real-world demand for XRP. Again, Ripple hasn't been on TV saying we're planning to make XRP moon. No, but these moves with Evernorth, GTreasury, and others are long-term partners like SBI Holdings, by the way, one of Japan's biggest financial giants. They all point to expanding XRP's reach beyond just the scenes. Right? These are concrete actions and not just the hype. Essentially, Ripple is building infrastructure and liquidity for XRP step by step, partnership by partnership, right? And they're doing it carefully and often quietly. And that, to me, shows a whole ton of confidence in XRP's role in the future of finance. It's like Ripple is assembling an army for the XRP ledger, developers, banks, financial platforms, but they're doing it without making a big song and dance specifically about XRP's price. After all, if they straight up said, our goal is to make XRP worth $100, well, they would get smacked down by the regulators faster than we can say Howey test. By now, connecting all of these dots, I was feeling a bit of a mix of excitement and validation here. As an XRP holder myself, I've always kind of hoped that Ripple's success would translate to XRP's success. And seeing all of this, the community chatter, the quiet moves, the war chest accumulating, it really does feel like the link between Ripple and XRP's price is real, right? They just can't publicly advertise it, right? Because, in my opinion, they don't even need to, right? The writing is on the wall. This might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, now that we've got the important disclaimer out of the way, let's pivot for just a moment. All this talk about Ripple's long game and quietly building value actually reminded me of something that I've been doing on the side, a kind of quiet build of my own. Now, if you will, right, that's what I'm going to label it up as. Now, some of you regular viewers will know that I have been experimenting with a project called Unity. Now, I've mentioned Unity in a whole bunch of previous videos, so the concept might not be new to you. But if you are not familiar, Unity Nodes is basically a project, a telecoms kind of project, I guess, network, where you can run a node on your everyday devices, like smartphones, for example, to support a network and earn crypto rewards in exchange. Now, think of it as kind of putting your spare gadgets to work passively to stack even more crypto. Now, I was so intrigued by this that I actually went ahead and purchased a Unity Masternode NFT, which came with 200 licenses. That means that I have the capacity to run up to 200 separate mobile devices. You know, think of 200 phones or, IoT devices, those kind of things, right? Now, I'm not going to go crazy and set up 200 devices at first. No, I plan to start small when the Unity app goes live with these phones here. Probably hook up these 10 phones as a bit of a test run. I want to see if the system in action runs and works smoothly, and then I can scale it up gradually if it proves itself successful. Now, it's a little bit like how you might pilot a project in a business. You start with a small sample and then you expand. Now, one of the things that I really like about Unity is it lets me choose to be paid in various different cryptocurrencies, right? It's not some new coin that no one's ever heard of. No, you can actually be choosing to be paid in something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano's ADA, or XRP, of course, right? Which is pretty cool because then I can passively grow my crypto holdings over time, almost like staking or mining, but without any of the huge energy costs. Essentially, I'm just leveraging this technology here making the most out of my idle devices, like these phones right here, on the side. That said, of course, as always, I do encourage everyone to do their own research before jumping into anything like this. I'll put some links in the description below to Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator so that you can check it out for yourself to see if the potential earnings are something that you're going to be interested in. Now, it's not about the hype here. It's just something that I am exploring. It's something that I'm new, right? It's an innovative way to participate in the crypto space that could pay off in the longer run. And because I believe in sharing opportunities with the community, I actually want to let you know on a little something that I'm doing here. I actually ended up getting a second and third Unity master nodes, right? Now, with these, my plan is to basically lease out some of these licenses to those who are genuinely curious about Unity, but maybe don't want to shell out for a full node themselves. Not everyone has the time or the resources for that, and that is okay. So by leasing licenses from me, people can basically dip their toes into this and run a few Unity node instances without actually the full commitment. Now, I'm going to have more information on this on our website, linked in the description, and in the free educational Discord server. So definitely join the Discord if you haven't done so already. It's completely free, full of educational content and discussions, and it's where you can ask me questions and others about things like Unity XRP and other projects that we talk about. All the links are in the description down below. Now, bringing it back to the bigger picture here, all of these things, like the side quests, whether it's Unity nodes or running a Cardano stake pool, tie into a common theme for me, right? Being prepared and making my crypto work for me. Now, in fact, let me just share another part of my crypto journey here that I think every serious crypto enthusiast should consider. It's a strategy about exchanges, right? And this particular strategy is where I sign up for, I verify, i.e. KYC, and test out as many reputable exchanges as I possibly can. It sounds a little excessive, but here is why I do it. In the crazy world of crypto, you never know when an exchange might experience issues, go down for maintenance, such as Coinbase just around the corner, or heaven forbid, freeze withdrawals. Now, when the market goes super bullish, right, some exchanges get overloaded, or they might even just struggle to get your orders through. And that is why I always have a plan A, B, C, and D. Now, I've got links in the description to all of the exchanges that I personally use. In fact, there's a link to our website that lists every exchange that I use. And yes, those are going to be affiliate links which do support the channel here, but that's just full disclosure. Now, I only recommend the ones that I've actually tested and use regularly, right? Some are some pretty big household names that you probably heard of, and some are super small and upcomers like LBank or 𝗗𝗀𝘀, for example. You've probably heard me mention those many times before. In fact, I've been pretty impressed with 𝗗𝗀𝘀's platform, and if you're interested, you can check out the affiliate link for 𝗗𝗀𝘀 on the website. Using it doesn't cost you anything extra, by the way. None of the affiliate links cost you anything extra, but it does throw a little support towards the channel here. And the same goes for all of the other links on the website, BitGet and so forth, right? And BitGet, by the way, is another one that I test out quite regularly, and I have hooked up the APIs to my TradingView so I can trade directly on BitGet via TradingView. It's a pretty neat way to keep everything pretty streamlined. I've tested, as part of my backup plans and my exchange backup plans, many different exchanges. And I've got links to all of the ones on the website for you guys to check out. So go check out the link in the description and check out the website. Again, any of those links, whether it is, Coinbase, BitGet, 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝘀, LBank, Kraken, whatever it is, they will kind of typically offer you some kind of bonus as well, or a discount for a new user sign up and some kind of kickback to this channel here. So it's a kind of win-win-win situation, right? The exchange gets a user, you potentially get a bonus, and I get a small kickback to support the channel here. So having multiple exchange accounts is just, I guess, smart practice, right? At least in my book. It gets you across the board having options when you need them the most. It saved my bacon more than once when one exchange suddenly has halted withdrawals for like 48 hours, and I was still able to quickly pivot to another and keep on trading. So check out the website link below where I list all of the recommended exchanges if you want to diversify your exchange options, because being prepared is absolutely key. Now, Speaking of trying to make crypto work for you, and I can't not mention this, by the way, I do run a Cardano stake pool with the ticker CHEEK, C-H-E-E-K. And yes, that is the name of the channel. So if you do hold any ADA, I know this is about XRP, but if you do hold any ADA, I'm just letting you guys know that, sitting it in your wallet and hoping for the price to moon might not be the best. You might actually want to consider staking it, because by delegating to a stake pool like Cheeky Cryptos, then your ADA can actually start earning you rewards each and every epoch, which is about 5 days in Cardano land. And it's a really effective way to kind of make your ADA work for you rather than just having it sat idle. And don't worry, staking in Cardano isn't like those lockup deals that you see elsewhere. Your ADA isn't locked up. You remain in full control of your funds. You can move it or sell it or do whatever you want instantly. There's no lockup periods. That's literally no downside in terms of flexibility. So if you're new to Cardano, it's kind of worth checking out how staking works. And if you're already staking with another pool but want to support what we do here on the channel, then you can always redelegate to the Cheek pool instead. It seriously does help us out and keeps this channel going. Plus, you'll be part of our little ecosystem, earning passive ADA while supporting us. It's pretty cool, right? Now, before we do wrap up this video, I do want to share one more opportunity that has been making some waves. Now, this one is specifically and especially exciting if you are an XRP fan like me, right? Now, I've recently partnered up with Kraken, and full disclosure, this is Kraken's idea. They approached me because they've seen that we've been doing a lot of XRP content and they want to reward you guys. Now, Kraken is one of the top crypto exchanges out there, by the way, and for a special promotion just like this, they've got your back, right? Get this, right? If you sign up with Kraken through my link that I've linked in the description below, by the way, and you trade at least $100 worth of any cryptocurrency except the stablecoins within the first 30 days, Kraken's going to drop you $25 worth of XRP into your account as a bonus. Yes, that is free XRP for doing something that you might have done anyway. Now, of course, terms and conditions do apply. It's a limited time deal and you've got to be a new user for it to work out. All of the details and the fine print are on Kraken's website, and I've linked that in the description down below, by the way. But I kind of think of this as a no-brainer if you are eligible, of course. Not only do you get some extra XRP, which, hey, if our discussion today is any indication, could be very valuable in the future, but you could also, get another solid exchange in your toolkit, right? Remember my exchange strategy, right? Kraken is definitely one of those A-list exchanges that you're going to want to have. So even aside from the promo, it's a great one to have in your roster. So if you were on the fence about opening a Kraken account, well, this promo might just be the perfect nudge you need. Now, who doesn't like, free crypto after all? But just make sure that you use the correct link in the description down below. It's only available via that link, and also so that Kraken knows that I sent you over there so that they can track if this is something that's worth doing more often. That is how I can keep scoring cool deals just like this one for you guys. Phew, well, that is a bit of a journey that this video has been on, right? From uncovering Ripple's possible grand plan for XRP to sharing a few of my own crypto strategies and projects that I like. Now, the key takeaway here that I want everyone, at least you all, to leave with is actually this. Sometimes the big players can't tell you what their true intentions are. But if you pay attention to their actions and you do your own research, you can often figure it all out. In my eyes, Ripple's actions speak volumes. They're building an ecosystem where XRP thrives, even if they're not explicitly saying we need XRP's price to go up. Now, as an investor, that gets me rather excited because I feel like I'm riding alongside a rocket that's still on the launch pad. Now, it's kind of like a waiting game, yes, I know, and nothing is ever guaranteed in crypto or investing. You heard the disclaimer over earlier, so don't forget it. But I would rather be in the game than just watching from the sidelines. I hope that this little investigative journey and personal stories gave you some food for thought today, and maybe some useful tips for your own crypto journey. If you have found this video helpful and maybe even thought-provoking, you can do me a solid favor by hitting that like button and the subscribe button, and maybe giving this video a solid thumbs up. maybe not just one. Okay? And it does help the community grow, of course. And hey, you can jump into that free educational Discord of ours if you want to continue the conversation or have any further questions. Right, we're in there every single day sharing the insights and learning together as always. Now, thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, stay cheeky and stay crypto savvy. I'll catch you in the next one.